Hi everybody and welcome back. In this final part we're going to finish the pipes once and for all. And by the way, the kit is already available on Gumroad. I have put the link below in the video description. I have not set a price for it, as with all my other assets on Gumroad. You can get them for free if you want, or if you choose you can make a donation, and well, every amount you decide is great actually, and will support future projects similar to this one and hopefully better. I really like the pay what you wish principle, as this way people with limited financial resources or from countries with weak currencies, they still get access to the asset, while people who have resources, they still get to choose the price. So it's actually good for me, as I can also see how much people value something that I have made. It's kind of a feedback. Anyway, let's go on with the video. In this final part I'm going to make the materials and a basic lighting setup. And by the way, I am sorry this video is longer than the others, but this time I am recording my screen as I'm doing things, so I'm also able to provide some kind of deeper explanations. Just a small disclaimer before we begin: I don't consider myself a professional. I taught myself to use Blender, so it's possible that I'm going to make some mistakes here and there. So please, if you see anything wrong in my workflow, or something that can be improved, or something that is not done in the best way, please let me know. So write me, leave a comment, whatever you like. This way we will all be growing together. So let's begin. And first thing I should tell you that I actually made a mistake. As you can see, for the first set, the large one, I made all the seams before duplicating the objects, but I forgot to do that for the small set. So all these tiny objects here have no seams, though actually I remember watching a video, I think it was from Zach Reinhardt, and he explained how you can make the seams for a single object and then transfer the UV maps to all of the duplicates. So if I made it for this single 90-degree turn, I think there is a way to transfer those UVs to all of them. So that would be less time consuming than remaking everything completely. But actually I think I'm going to do another thing, which is show the two different ways of doing a material. So for the large set I'm going to use the materials based on the UV maps, and for the medium and the small set I'm going to use box projection, which is a very simple thing to do, by the way, and can come in very helpful in some situations. So let's begin with the first set, which is the set that already has the UV maps. And by the way, we want to make the scale uniform for all the objects. So if I were to take this one, UV unwrap it, and if I were to take this other one and UV unwrap it, now let's try. I am making a material with the... Do we still have the UV grid? Absolutely we do. So grid. Okay. We are adding image texture. And we are loading our grid. Okay, here we are. Now probably if we use the same material for this other object, we will see, well, no, this time they're quite similar. but if I were to make something, I think like a cube, and give the grid to that one, okay, here you can see the difference. We can see the scale is not the same, as these two objects have lots of islands, and actually they end up quite similar. The cube is a single island, and so the texture will be stretched in a different way. And I hoped that since we now can edit multiple objects at once, I hope we could do the UV unwrapping for all of them, but as you can see, the scale is wrong anyway. So to get it right, you still have to join the two objects together, unless you're using some kind of add-on. And now you can see that the two objects have the same scale for the textures, I mean. But maybe there is something I don't know, so maybe the UV wrapping for in multiple object editing, maybe it is working and I have no idea how to do it. Yeah, that's the moment when you regret not watching all the videos that Pablo made explaining the new features. So anyway, if you know the way to, if there is a way to make this thing work, please let me know. So write a comment, and at least I will know how to do it, if it is possible. So as of now, to make the scale uniform on all the objects, I will do things the old way. By the way, I can delete this. I will do things the old way, so I will join the objects together. Make a single UV unwrap, and yeah, now we can see that clearly it's very small. The grid is very large, and as it should be, as there are many tiny islands here. Let's increase it so we can see not too much. Okay, so we can see that the scale is uniform for the objects now, and yes, there is some stretching. We can see it. It's no big deal, it's nothing really huge, I think, but it is there anyway. In this case it's not going to matter much, as the only texture I'm going to use is to give the scratches to the objects. So yeah, I mean, if a scratch is slightly bent, it's not that much of a big problem. And I am still learning how to make proper UVs myself, so if somebody is going to comment like your UVs suck, yeah, I definitely agree with you. At least provide me something, so some info, some videos, some links, or some directions on how to make them better. As well, I don't want to be unpolite or unthankful, but I got a couple of those comments back in the days. Well, actually not so long ago, and with people telling me, yeah, you are not doing something right, you are doing something wrong, which is okay. I mean, I'm learning, but if you don't say how I should do things the right way, I am not even going to, there's no way I can improve. So a small tip to anyone listening, which doesn't go just for me but for everyone else. If you're going to leave a comment on someone telling that they are doing something wrong, I think the best thing is also to give something so that they can learn how to do things in the proper way, the right way. Otherwise the comment is going to be, yeah, not particularly useful. So bottom line, if you know how to improve, let me know, and for now we can go on. So now we have to separate the objects again. this one. Whoop. I could probably stop the recording while I'm doing this, but this should not take long. Okay, here we are, and now we have all the objects separate again. And the last thing we are going to do, assigning the materials to this one. Yeah, by the way, this one has a old UV map that I made, and same goes for this one. But now we have, with two objects selected, and the active object has to be the one with the correct UVs. You can go with Ctrl L, which will make a link, transfer UV maps. You need to go in and outside of edit mode, and here we have it. And the same goes for this one. You select the two objects, so this is the destination object, the active one is the source one. Ctrl L, transfer UV maps, in and out of edit mode, and now all the objects in the large set should have the same scale. Though one final thing, for example, it's going to be visible probably later, this one, which is the long pipe, and I have used an array modifier. Here we will see the repetitions in the material, so they will be, all these pieces will look exactly the same now. I think it's possible, if it's not hanging. Okay, it's back, and to avoid the repetition you will probably have to just move the islands around, so the scratches will be placed on different, well, they will be placed differently on the object. But actually that's probably something we will see when we get there. So for now let's go on with the material. We can clear the grid, and I have already loaded some textures that I got from CG Bookcase. I will leave a link in the description, and I'm going to use, well, oh, wait a second. I am going to use this one, which is a metal texture with some scratches. Just give it a moment to load it. Make it smaller a bit. Yeah, this is the moment when you have to find the scale. So it's just about, oops, it's just about trying and trying. Well, to begin with, I think this is going to be okay. Definitely okay. So now this metal was very reflective originally. We will have to modify it a little bit as I'd like it to be. Well, let's see. I think I made this node by mistake. This is the roughness, so I'm going to set it to non-color data. And as we are at, it's a bit too reflective maybe. And this is the normal, so again no color data. I have to connect the scale to all of them so that they are the same, otherwise it's not going to look okay. Normal map. Let's see the previewing cycles as well. Okay, so I'm adding it a bit of roughness. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, it's taking some time to load. I think it's okay. Maybe slightly less. Okay, I think for a pipe this is good. But I want the color to be different as well, not this black. Oh, and by the way, I am using the roughness map as color as the original one was a copper, but since I'm going to change it anyway with a color ramp, I think it's best to have these kind of black and white values, which are by the way the same. So I'm using a converter color ramp. Wait a second for it to load. Okay, now I'm changing. Well, this is too much. I want to leave some scratches, but not as many as before. Fine tuning. Well, this looks nice. Yeah, this looks okay. Now I want it to be gray, but slightly more. And this one is going to be 0.9. Yeah, well, to begin with, it's fine. Now we're giving it some variation using I think using a noise texture or something. But actually, as it's going to take a while to tune the noise texture, find the right one, find the right scale, and mix the two together. I mean, the noise with this one, the metal one. I think I'm probably going to stop the recording for a while, and then I'm going to show you the changes when they are done. So we will all, yeah, save some time. Okay, this looks nice now. A quick recap of the things that I did. Just a second. I'm hiding all the objects except one, so it's going to be faster. I forgot to set metallic. By the way, before it was like, oh sorry, it was like this. It was plastic. I forgot it, and I slightly changed the color. Now is before it was gray, and now it's kind of slightly browny. But the moment, yeah, this is how it looked before. If you just remember that you have to set metallic to 1, it changes a lot already. And when you add the noise texture, it gives some more variation now. Okay, now it has loaded it. So this is it. Now it's just a little bit too uniform, I think, as it's all in one color. So I'm going to do, well, first let's call this pipes dark. I'm taking this again, but I'm making it separate here. So this one is going to be, let's call it brass dark. And now just by changing, okay. First of all, we have to put it somewhere. Just a second, I will assign it and then I'm going to be back. Okay, here it is. It's the same material right now, but we can make the changes here in the color ramp to give it a different color. So I'm also going to change the scratches. Let's try to make them dark now. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Maybe I should go almost black. And make them more visible. Okay, so this is more interesting. If we switch to rendered view with cycles, let's see how it looks. Well, to begin with it's not bad. Yeah, well, I have to say, making materials does take a while, as far as time. By the way, I hope the video is not going to end up too long or boring. It's not what I wanted. So now that I am going to duplicate this color again and change it just for the bolts, I'm going to stop the recording now, as it's long and repetitive enough. So I will just show you the changes that I made once they are done already. Okay, so this is how it looks now in Look Dev, which is basically the old material mode. I have made a slightly different material for the bolts and another slightly different one for the indicators. This one is not metallic and is something like well, it's similar to plastic. And we can also take a look at the render view in cycles. I have not tried Eevee now. Maybe this brass is a little bit too well, the saturation is probably too high. So we'll take a look at it. And now I think we can take a look at the last thing that I wanted to show, which is, by the way, is very easy to make. And so how to use this material for the small pipes, so for objects that have no UV maps. So let's go to the collection that has the small set. I'm hiding the walls as they are not needed now. Taking just one object, a random one. I'm making this material unique, and now I'm calling this projected. And now I think if I select everything, this one, with this one as active, I should be able to make link. So Control L, make links, materials. Tell me you're doing okay, very well. And now, if I go into Look Dev, we are probably not going to see anything, or maybe just the basic color. No, Nothing at all. Yeah, because the UV maps are missing, or maybe because the maybe because there are too many objects, and the video card on this laptop is the integrated Intel, so nothing special. But if I use cycles, yeah, exactly, it's giving just a basic color. So back to our shading. Yeah, I remember this about Eevee. Unless you have a UV map, which could even be a blank one. Okay, exactly. So if you just give it a blank one, it's going to show you the material, which is in this case has nothing, just the base color. Without the UV map, it's going to show black. So now, just for the sake of showing, I am adding the UV map back. I'm only keeping this one active, sorry, on display, and I'm hiding all the others as they are not needed right now. And so the thing is actually quite simple. We have no UV map here, and so we are using, sorry, rather than flat, we are using box, and we will have to change it for all the textures. We have a blend factor, we will go into that in a moment. Again, flat box, and now you change from UV to generated. Still updating. Very bad idea to use the laptop. And here we go. Here we have it. Now the scale is too big. We are back to probably 2 is going to be okay. Now we can go to 1. Okay. Oh well, now we can see the this blend. Can you see the hard edges here? Blend is going to make it softer, so we can go to 0.3, I think, and even 0.6. Well, maybe there were not so many hard edges before as well. Let's see if it's different. Well, there has to be a place. Now I can't find it, but usually there is a place where the what it's doing now, by the way, what Blender is doing now, it's projecting this texture, so the texture we had before of the material, on this object from all different sides. So there is usually a place, could be this one. Here it's this one. Here we can see that that's probably where it's projecting from this side, and so this is the point where the projections are meeting. And so if you change this blend to maybe 0.6, oh, this one should go softer, but it doesn't, so it wasn't probably this one the place. This one was probably not the place, because with 1 it should disappear completely. No, it's just me imagining things. This object is not a good one to show the blend in other objects. Some models I've made in the past, the blend was very useful, as there were some really hard transitions, and the blend made them disappear completely. So I remember that 0.3 to 0.6 was a good value, so I'm setting 0.6 now, so we are covered in any case. Now if I unhide, that was a bad idea, collection 2. Yeah, by the way, it's doing nothing, as the other objects have no UV map. I remove this one, and let's go to cycles so we can take a look at it. Yeah, well, without the noise it's not very easy to tell, but we can see that we have some scratches. Here on the pipes, which is exactly what the projection is doing. So these objects, all these pieces have no UV maps, and yet we can use the texture anyway. Now I'm going to pause again. So I'm going to, maybe I can change it just a little bit to make it look different with value. As I'd like the colors to be slightly different when I'm rendering this one and the small kit, the small set and the big set. I want them to be slightly different in color, not too much, but a little bit, yes. So yeah, I think this is going to be okay. Now I'm going to again stop the recording and assign some different materials, so some brass to this kit as well, to this set, sorry, and to the medium one. And once all the materials are done, I'm going to get back so we can try a couple of lights and see how it looks. And here we are back. All materials are assigned, and the first thing to do is load an HDR. HDRs are great as they already have a very varied light coming from different directions, and they already cast their own shadows. And so just loading one is going to give us, yeah, a very good complete lighting setup. And trying different HDRs will literally allow you to switch from one lighting to another with just the click of a mouse. You can see this other HDR here as softer shadows compared to the first one. And now I am going to load another. And well, let's see. I should upgrade my machine, I think. This one has really sharp shadows, which are okay. I mean, it's not what I want this time, so I'm going to try another one. But for another situation, that previous HDR could be very, very good. The final one that I decided to use was this one. It has defined shadows, which is something that I was looking for, and I rotated the HDR slightly so that the shadows are well, kind of filling the image better, the space better. And well, let's give it a render. Let's see how it looks like. So this is the final rendering in cycles, how it looks like. The only thing, well, I actually did a couple of things. I added a bit of sharpness later in GIMP. You can use Photoshop or whatever software you like. And I think I slightly adjusted the levels, as it will make your image look better. By the way, the HDRs I'm using are from HDRI Haven. You will find a huge selection there. And if you're interested in learning more about image-based lighting, I suggest the video series made by Gleb Alexandrov. This is where I learned yeah, everything I know about it. You can use different HDRs, you can combine them. Yeah, the possibilities are really endless, and it's very simple to use. HDRs are really simple to use. And now the fun part, the part everybody has been waiting for probably. We're switching to Eevee. So as you can see, well, I'm removing that background wall as it is not going to be needed. I'm going to try and do a different thing. I don't know if transparency is already enabled in Eevee, so I'm using I'm doing the thing that I have done previously. I'm using the light path node to give a black background rather than show the HDR. Well, as you can see, the HDR is already giving some kind of direction to the light, but it's not casting shadows as of now, so I'm adding a few point lights. I want to give some kind of rim effect, so that the edge of the model is lighted and the rest is darker. I am enabling contact shadows, dropping the strength a little bit down. And now I'm duplicating this light. So as we switch back to the other view, you can see that now that I'm making this light blue, you can see the effect that I wanted here. So some part is dark, the blue light is coming from one side and the orange light is coming from the other side. So let's enable a couple of things, like bloom, which is great, but you should not overuse it, so it's best to turn it down a bit. And screen space reflections are always great, especially if you have metal objects. Now I'm going to stop the recording for a moment and tweak the lights a little bit, and then we will come back. So we're getting to the end now. I have just duplicated the lights, but I think we can try different colors, such as this one could be yellow. Let's see how it looks, just to give variation, as the other side is orange and blue. This side can be yellow and not red, but maybe a bit of purple. Let's see. Yeah, it's just tweaking, playing around, nothing special. It's fun. It's actually fun. And yeah, it looks like some kind of it's like the lights of a Christmas tree. Looks nice. Simple setup, effective. And this concludes this pipe series. It's done. There's nothing more to do. Thank you all for being with me. This was yeah, it was a nice experiment for me, as I switched from 2.79 to 2.80, and I switched to from mute videos to recording my voice, so it was, yeah, quite of a big leap forward. And for the next series, I'm still not sure what I'm going to make. I have a couple of ideas. I'm probably going to start soon, like in a couple of days. I'm going to start modeling and recording, so hopefully in maybe in a week or 10 days I could probably be uploading the first video. The goal is to model something that is going to be interesting and entertaining for you to watch. And so we got to the end. Thank you all again, really, for being here, for taking a look and for spending your time. And well, to the next one, hopefully soon. So thank you all again, and have fun modeling something great. Bye!